Hey, everybody. So I just wanted to take a moment and introduce you to a friend of mine. Her name is Kirstie Lilith. She's a divine channel and animal communicator. And she traveled to Egypt with me. And she had been a client of mine for years, and we work very similarly. So it's been this beautiful relationship. And so she went to Egypt with me, and we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of energy work, and we found that both of us are in this space of creating relationships, if that's a good word for it, with a lot of the Egyptian gods and goddesses. And so it's, Isis and Sekhmet and Thoth and Anubis. And Kirsty, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, Hazel's, I think, taking a back seat at the moment, but
She
I
is.
can feel her on the edges. She's going to be coming forward. But yeah, I came back from Egypt with many new friends, and they won't go.
No, no, and it's been a very interesting process for us. And when I returned from Egypt, I started having memories come up of the trip I took to the UK in 2019. And I had mentioned it to you, and it turned out you were heading to Glastonbury to work for the weekend, right?
Yeah, it was not planned, or it was planned on a 3D level. Hadn't appreciated it was all planned with divine timing. That it was just a diary thing. Yeah, I'm free then. So me and a colleague were going down to Glastonbury. And then Sekhmet came in and went, yeah, that's not what's going on. And yeah, it was just amazing. And she said that we'd brought all this goddess energy back from Egypt. And it was about creating that bridge of light, and taking it to the divine feminine in the chalice well. And she then, as you know, Jenny, that she told me to reach out to you, that it needed to be a combined effort, you working energetically with me and me actually in the physical. And I got told to take the tincture that you had made up
Yeah.
for the Egypt trip, on all that ancient wisdom, and that's what I kind of had to take to the well physically,
Mhm.
as well as do the ceremony and the work that we did at the Chalice Well and the White Spring, and yeah, just really, really intense.
And it was interesting because for me, it was early in the morning. And I was kind of in that, early morning sweet spot in between state, and I'm able to just kind of journey and feel into the energies. And there was a lot of working with the dragon lines. Um,
Mhm.
and there was child energy, particularly when you went into the White Spring. It was like that beautiful, pure essence of happy kids, and so there was a lot of clearing done, but it also felt like there was connecting done. So there was grid work that I was working on, and it was like pushing some of that Egyptian energy into the grid of Avalon. And it felt like it was connecting things, right? It was
Mm.
like as if, if you can imagine like a rail system, to where there were just certain legs of the journey just weren't connected properly or something like that. And it's like the Egyptian energy came in, and it very much it's goddess energy. It's that
Yeah,
really strong, beautiful, divine feminine that just comes in, and it started connecting things. Um, and so, it was really neat connecting that way with you, and as we were working in two separate spaces. And I had thought that the the UK energy would leave me, right? I really thought I was being guided to connect with you to do this
mm.
work etherically, and then it would be done.
Yeah, we thought that was the end of the work.
Yeah.
We brought the Egyptian energy to Avalon.
No. And I mean, and it came through very much. For me, it was simultaneous from the root chakra up the spine, from the crown down, and it was like this. I could feel the waves going up and down my body, and I'm like, "Oh my God." And I remember messaging you and saying, "If I could get on a plane right now, I would." I absolutely would. And it was such a weird thing to say. I hadn't been back from Egypt long. I was still tired. And, because sacred journeys, they really are life changing. You're
Oh,
never
definitely.
the same after a sacred journey. Um, and so there is that time period to where you just need to kind of settle. And that's normally the way sacred journeys have been for me, and that's not what this one has been. So,
No, there's normally that anchoring period afterwards where things just have to settle and anchor in. But we weren't given that opportunity this time.
no, no, as a matter of fact, it felt very much like Isis and Sekhmet were like, okay, you're back, now let's go. And
Yes.
it's like, rest when you can, but keep going. There is no
Yeah.
real true downtime.
Mm.
Um, integrate on the fly.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's like, we were talking about just how things feel right now, how sometimes it feels like what we're doing is just putting out fires in our everyday life because
Mm.
time is weird, everything is funky, and it's so much is coming at us, and it's just constantly like, okay, what do I have to do today,
Yeah.
just to get things done. And then when you add the changing bodies, the changing of the energies, and these next phases, it's quite significant, it's quite a lot. And so the fire just it was literally burning me up. That's how I
Mm.
felt. And
Mm.
so, my husband comes in, he had been out at the flea market, and he's like, "What is going on?" I mean, I think I probably looked like my hair was probably standing up, probably wide-eyed. He's like looking at me. And I'm like, "I need to get to the UK. And I can wait till fall." Like I had started asking questions like, okay, I need to get to the UK. And I knew it. I could feel it. I'm asking spirit. And I'm like, August is rough for me. I can't do August. And I knew July was out, which is interesting. So it was never going to be July. August was difficult for me. And it was like, can this wait until September? And the answer was yes. And I'm like, I had first thought it needed to be during the equinox, right? But my daughter's birthday is on the equinox. So I'm like, she turned 16. I need to be back. And they said, well, that's fine. It needs to be before the equinox. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I began the planning process. And once the planning started, the fire calmed down. And at first I was wondering, okay, is this something to where, you know, and I knew my husband had to go, right? And I
Mm.
remember mentioning it to you, and you're like, oh no, he needs to go. There's energy that he needs to pick up there
Yeah.
that feels druid, and there's some Knights Templar stuff. And we were, as we were talking before we hit record, we were laughing. We're like, he's gonna be knocked silly in Avalon. It's like,
Yeah.
poor guy.
He
He's
doesn't know
not
what's
gonna know.
coming.
No, he has no idea. And so I was talking to Sekhmet about it. I'm like, I don't understand. What is it? The Egypt energies have already been dropped off. So what is it? And what it felt like to me was that the work that we did there was the work that was done in Egypt, right? And then I did it etheric, you were our boots on the ground, and we did it in Glastonbury, pushing through the grid, the Egypt energies. It felt like instead of calming things, it turned things on.
Yeah, it was like we did preparation work
Yeah,
for September
exactly.
that and that has then ramped up that energy
Yeah,
because it seems like it's nearly like a roller coaster to get us to September. It's like they can't wait for September. If they could
yeah,
shove September further forward in the calendar, that
they
would be
totally
good.
would. Right. They
Yes.
totally would. Which is, kind of funny because I was like wondering, like, were things going to open up on my calendar to get me there in August? But then it was like, no, no, it's okay. You can fly out the 1st of September. You're okay. Um, and so as I was talking to Sekhmet, what she was sharing with me, it was really Sekhmet and Isis, which is the two main ones that I've been working with. Anubis has been coming in occasionally, And I work a little bit with Toth, and Hathor, I can feel her, but she's not quite anchored in yet.
Yeah.
And it's almost like she's kind of taken this back seat,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know.
that's how I feel.
She's gentle. She's really gentle, whereas some of these energies with Isis and Sekhmet are a little
Fiery.
right. Like, and I mean that's a great way to put it. Like, I am on fire. Like, this is crazy. And it's very determined and it's very direct. You know, Isis doesn't play around. Like, she looks at me and she goes,
Mhm.
"Your attention span is shit." And I'm like, okay. And then she started working with me to make it longer, because she's like, you're going to need the longer attention span in order to really connect in and do this. Fine. But there is so as I was talking to them, what they shared was that at one point in time, you know, before Atlantis, before Mu, um, it, there was the Lion Kingdom. And this was Sirius. This was the grouping from Sirius, and there were Lyrans with it, but it was very much that feline, the feline beings from Sirius that came in, and they had a kingdom, and they were working on bringing in seventh to ninth dimensional energies into the planet. And there was the mystery schools. There were all sorts of ways that they were shifting others that were coming in, you know, because this was a very galactic place. You know, it wasn't just Syrians. It was just that through the Sirius portal, many were coming in, and they were here, not much different than me as and you, and we're here to learn. We're here to experience things. Is the way
Mm.
that I took it. And there were wars that essentially broke things apart, and the Lion Kingdom ended. But from there, the knowledge, the energy, the coding went into Avalon.
Mm.
And so now that layer, and sometimes when I see the layers, I almost see like multiple grids. And so it's like we're working through the grids as we shift vibrationally, what we can handle, um how much wisdom and knowledge we can actually hold without, you know, creating more issues. uh
Mhm.
then a particular grid becomes exposed. This is how my mind sees it. I'm not saying that this is how it is. It's just how my mind explains things. And then from there, there's the coding that can be turned on, it can be picked up, and then we run with it. And then we
Yeah.
start shifting it and putting it into different locations all
Yeah.
over the world. So I mean, what is your thoughts on that? What is your experience and understanding of the Lion Kingdom?
I hadn't really heard of the Lion Kingdom being like pre Lemuria, like pre-Mu, but it made so much sense. It really resonated with me when you shared about that with the Lion King. It's like we're kind of nearly going back to the beginning,
Mhm.
and there was so much power, so much knowledge, so much wisdom back then that has been tainted over the years. If you know, the last golden age was Atlantis, and then that all got tainted and Atlantis fell. And so it makes so much sense to me that we're kind of going back through that timeline, through all the different stages, but right back to that Lion Kingdom when the galactic beings came down
Yeah,
and created uh, that place, that high dimensional place. And I think that's why we're being kind of asked. It's nearly going back to ground zero
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's a great
and
way to put it.
switching it back online. How when we were working in the pyramids and we were switching that back online, and I think we all said it was we were working in the pyramid, then it went out
Yeah,
or from there, and then I feel that we're doing the same as at Avalon, which is the heart of Gaia.
Yeah.
And it's hardly surprising, I suppose, that that's where we're being asked to go. And my lot are all going crazy as we're talking here, that it is about switching that on and then allowing that to go out to all the various other locations.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and it's interesting because it was then requested because I was kind of going, okay, is it just me and Dan? Do we go and then meet up with you and do we do this work? But then it was really clear. It was like it needed to be opened because there is a call. There is a
Mm,
call that has been placed, and it's going to be interesting to see who answers. Who is willing to go, you know what? I can feel that I need to be there. And I'm going to suspend fear. I'm going to suspend logic, right? And I'm going to do exactly what I'm being called to do, regardless.
yeah,
Because both you and I were talking like we just did Egypt. Was expensive, and it's like, and so taking this on now logically doesn't make any sense financially for either one of us. It
no.
doesn't.
To me, this was a next year project
Yes,
with the
that's exactly what I
financial
was
stuff.
planning.
Yeah,
But I didn't understand the Lion Kingdom connection. But I was planning on doing an Avalon trip, and that way there was lots of time for people to join, and because it is such a wonderful trip. I mean,
yeah,
Avalon is fun. It is. I mean, Egypt was a lot of fun, but there was definitely some heavier energies that we went through. There were,
yeah,
I would say, initiations that we went through.
yeah.
Avalon has more of that lighter Merlin
Mm.
magic, the realms type energy. So it's such,
Elemental energy.
yeah,
There's just all that sparkly kind of stuff as well in there isn't that intensity of Egypt and the ancientness of it's completely different energy feeling to it. It's
completely
still
different.
powerful.
Right. And
Mm.
so it's such a great trip for new people who are just
Yeah,
beginning the sacred journeys, just beginning code work or grid work. It's perfect. So I had it in my head, my plan was to do it next year
yeah,
and do a trip that would give people time to get in it. And nope, there's an urgency with this. And, from what Sekhmet and Isis are saying, they're like, people are being called. Not everyone's going to answer. Um, and so it's an interesting thing because you have to battle. I don't, the word I have is logic, right?
yeah. It is. It's like battling to me the 3D versus the 5D.
Yeah,
To me, I listen to my heart and that says, yes, I'm going. And
yeah,
it's listening to that. If I listen to my head, I wouldn't have done all the sacred journeys that I've done. There's no way in hell I would have gone
no,
on all of this stuff and then signed up. It's like I couldn't even go into my head on this Avalon trip in my heart, as well as having Sekhmet behind me going, you are going.
you are going.
and and it's nearly like it's a test for so many, and it's not just about this trip, it's in general. People are being kind of tested with this fear.
Yeah,
Are you going to step off that proverbial cliff?
yeah,
Are you going to trust and surrender? And I find it so interesting, and you probably have found as well, that money is used so much as a trigger for people because it is a fabulous trigger for fear,
yeah,
that money
100%.
is, and that lack, that
Yeah,
complete not abundant mindset. And we all kind of have it because money is very useful on this planet. It buys everything.
right.
And it's always kind of brought up going, oh, yeah, this is this much. How much are you going to trust and surrender? And it's nearly like it's that balance and going, look, this is your time to decide. Are you in the sacred work? do you Are you here to fulfill your soul's purpose really,
Yeah,
and do this work and trust that you will be supported? And it's really difficult.
It is really
weighing it up against um uh, the 3D realities.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know what, as you're talking, what it reminds me of is when I was really in my own opening process and I found shamanism courses and they were expensive and we were broke. Like we were broke to the point to where it was like I would buy strawberries on sale and I would divide them among everybody in the household because at that point everybody was still in the house and my adult daughters weren't gone yet. And we were down to the penny before the next paycheck hit. And I was like, it was so strong. And I put it on a credit card. And oh my gosh, some of the discussions in the house, and my husband going, what are you doing? And we've talked about it now. Like, what if I hadn't?
Mm,
What if I hadn't gone, I have to? Like then what happens? What happens when you don't take the windows?
yeah,
You know, because the windows close. They close. And then you can open them back up, but it's very, very difficult. And you have missed a particular junction, if you will, you know? And so, we were actually talking about that. There was some messages I was getting, like I think it was last September, and I didn't act on them. And I can see the repercussions of not acting on them. And now I'm like, okay, fine. I need to go back and I need to do this now. I need to
mm,
open this up. But the energy isn't it's not as friendly. It's not as friendly. It's actually harder. If I had done it
yeah,
then instead of letting resistance stop me or procrastination or whatever it is, right? Then the energy was a movement and it would have moved me forward very quickly, just like it did when I took the
yeah.
shamanism training so long ago. Um, so it's it's wild how that works.
It is. It's just amazing. And like you say, there's that kind of window, and you have to kind of listen to your heart. I mean, I traveled halfway around the world because I had a whale come in and tell me to go find him and to go swim with him. I hadn't even swam in the ocean. I had to, and so I was there in the middle of the blooming Pacific swimming with humpback whales because I had a voice in my head of a whale go and tell me to do it. He did not tell me about sharks in the water, didn't mention that bit. And
Oh my God, I would have lost my mind.
yeah, I mean, that journey completely changed my life.
Yeah,
But I was bordering on insane. You know, people going, you what? You're flying all of that way? Why? Because you have this imaginary
right,
friend in a whale
right, right.
is telling you to go do this work, and you're just listening to it. And I'm like, yes.
Yes, yes, I am. And but I totally I can understand how it stops people.
Yeah, yeah, completely. There's no judgment on
No,
that because the fear that comes out, I can really totally resonate with why people get stopped because it's huge what all of us are being asked to do in this lifetime. It
mhm,
is not easy
it's not.
stepping into these roles.
It's not. And then sometimes I think because like I had said to my husband, I'm like, financially, I don't know if this is the right idea. And financially, it's not. I mean, let's just be clear. It's not. But I can see where I could use finances to stop me when the true fear is who will I be after,
Yeah.
right? Like, can I step into this next version of myself?
Mm,
Can I allow the me that is here to die
mm,
and walk into the next one? And so I had said that to my husband, and he just kind of looks at me. He goes, "Jen, we've made it through major money things," and he said, "We're fine." Truly, he's like more of a believer now sometimes than I am. He's like, "We're fine. We're fine.
yeah.
We're gonna be fine. If you need to go, we're going." And and he kind of just called me out on it. He's like, "You're just afraid of what this next steps is because you're
Mm,
still integrating Egypt, which has knocked me on my butt." Right?
yeah.
Like, And so thank God somebody can call me on my crap. But, you know, I can see where we create really valid excuses to
They
stop
are really
ourselves.
valid. Yeah.
Very valid. And we stop ourselves.
Mm.
Um, so it
Because
is,
we know these sacred journeys are life-changing.
yeah.
I mean, Egypt, I think I shared with you when I was getting ready to leave in the morning to go to Egypt, one of my guides came in and said, look in the mirror, and then said, I always remember, he said, say goodbye to her because she's not coming back.
Makes me want to cry.
Yeah. And it is so true. I came back from
So
Egypt
true.
completely different.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be the same in the Avalon
Yeah.
um, trip. We are being upgraded so fast.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's quite terrifying
Yeah. You see
on
my
one
tears?
aspect.
So, you know, I have to share with everybody because it was so funny. So sometimes in my process, I go into resistance, right? Like a toddler. And, you know, I know I just need to step into this next space. But then there's like this little voice in me that is like, I'm dying. I'm dying. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this. And so it's like I love her. I tell her, I'm like, no, we are stepping forward. And I think that I was in this state of maybe moving too slow for Isis and Sekhmet and the guides. And so I had gone to a concert Friday night and we were staying at an Airbnb with a group of friends right near the concert. And I was the last person in the Airbnb and it was like, okay, your bedroom is over here. And I walk in and understand this Airbnb probably had 150 plants. I've never seen a place with so many plants. I mean, to the ceiling, everywhere. It was just life and green, and it smelled wonderful. And then I walked into my bedroom, and my bedroom was nothing but a death theme, right? There was skulls, there was a wasp nest in one of the decorations, which I'm highly allergic to. There was a string of chili peppers, and I'm allergic to peppers. So all of these things that could literally end my life, right? And that I could have like an anaphylactic shock to. And I'm like looking, going, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. And I just bust out laughing because I'm like, I get the message. All right. It's time. It's time to walk through this death process and like stop procrastinating, stop making excuses and move it. But that is very, I mean, I sent you the pictures and you're like, that's horrific. And it was the energy in that room was perfect. And I really went into surrender,
Mm.
surrender, and um, understanding what it really means to walk into that multidimensional self, right? There is a death.
Yeah.
There is a death. And so it's like tying up some of those loose ends and you know and it's like I can tell that little aspect of me. I'm like we are moving, we are becoming. And yet I know that when you cross that doorway, there's aspects that are gone.
Mm.
Absolutely. And so it's a phew, I mean it this isn't an easy process.
No,
No matter what level you're at, this is not an easy process.
no, it isn't. And this year, there's so much transition going on for everybody. Like you
Yeah.
say, it doesn't matter where you are on your
No.
journey. There, people are being asked to transition. They're being asked to step into more who they are, and it's not easy, and
No.
it's terrifying.
Terrifying.
And it's like the door behind you's been closed. There's no way that you can turn around and run back. It's
No.
like that's been closed, and you're like, holy crap. I, I can stay where I am, or I've got to walk forward.
Gotta walk forward. And it's like where you're at is in this really funky hallway,
Yeah.
right? And it's miserable.
Yeah, that's not pleasant to be in
It's
that
not
that
pleasant. And it's
space.
like It's like the beatings will continue until you move. And then simultaneously, you have the world coming at you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and so like we were talking a little bit about finances, like there's a squeeze going on.
Mm,
And it's purposeful. It's to shove us down into that root chakra, to shove us into lack. It's to get us to not walk in that really powerful creator ability that we have. And Isis was so funny. I'm on this journey and she is like, abundance is everywhere and you keep thinking it's a piece of paper. She said it's
yeah.
everywhere. And she said, and when you understand that all it is being in alignment, just align yourself and it comes in, it comes in. She said, then you will understand. She's like, but you get into your mind and you start overthinking. And she's not wrong. It's what humans tend to do. And we tend to, it's like you tend to like close in and
Yeah.
go into this state of not enough.
Mm,
And it's fascinating because it's all in that like lower chakra, root chakra stuff. Whereas right now they are pushing us to open to the multidimensional self. And not only are they pushing us, it's really important.
yeah, it does. That the finances are playing an awful big role for everybody, isn't it? That real contraction energy. And I don't know the solution because I haven't found the key myself about
Right.
how to align to that abundance and what they're being asked to do. It's like we're having, oh, okay, thank you. So we're upgrading the our whole financial kind of thing to a multidimensional
Hmm.
uh, that how time has shifted and time isn't like this linear, it's all like these pockets. It's like we're being asked to shift our perspective on finances to a multidimensional level,
Yeah.
and we don't know what that looks like.
Well, I had a thought that, even when we were like really, really broke, we still somehow or another always managed to have the roof over our head, food. We were able to get the kids the minimum of what they needed. Like we managed on such tight money. And then it's like your world shifts when you have money. And it's like everything is, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. It's I was talking to a mom the other day at a basketball game, and she was talking about finances, and she's struggling with the healthcare costs. In America, we've got serious issues. And I just said to her, I said, have you always had everything you need? And she just kind of looks at me. She goes, I have. And I said, then you will tomorrow too.
Mm,
And she goes, okay. And she literally wrote it down. And she said, I am going to put this. She's like, because you're right. I can look back over all these years. Her daughter's got some illnesses and stuff. And she said, I've always been able to figure it out. Not that it's been easy. It definitely could have been easier for her, but she's always figured it out. And she's always been able to be like, I've got what I need. Not what you want,
yeah.
but what you need. And I think that's the key. I think that's part of it is shifting that mindset that if we can go right here, right now, I'm okay. And then tomorrow, it's I'm right here, right now, and I'm okay. But we have a world that is constantly throwing at us messages of, oh, interest rates are rising. Oh, this is happening, and the cost of
Mm,
this is going up. And it's designed to make you feel like tomorrow you won't be okay.
yeah.
And so it's a big shift. It's a big shift in how we think.
And I think it's an important topic. I'm pleased that we're kind of discussing it now
Yeah.
because it kind of gets swept under the carpet a lot of
Hmm.
going, oh, yes, it's all abundance and it's all really good. And it's heavy stuff and it's
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 heavy.
a reality for everybody.
Yeah.
And it is, I think, understanding how it is shifting and how we need to change kind of our perspective and our mindset on it. And it's all part of this this ascension process, but it doesn't make it any less real.
No, it does not. And or any less scary. And and particularly like, I am so grateful that my husband is now able to look at me and go, we're going to be fine. Because I'm going to tell you, 12, 14 years ago, that wasn't the case, right? It was, what are you doing? How could you possibly be taking these courses? What is your plan? He's like, none of this makes sense. Now looking back, he's going, oh no, I'm so glad she actually did that and didn't let
Mm.
me. He's like, and he said to me before, I'm so glad you didn't let my small thinking stop you.
Yeah.
And because I don't know what it would look like if I had, right? Like we would have just been constantly in this place of like trying to get ahead, but cutting off our nose to spite our face the whole time because we're constantly in lack and not willing to make big shifts. But yeah, I mean, there's an urgency with this trip. And I thought it was me, right? Like it was this trip, but what I've noticed, because I'm working with a group that has helped plan this trip, a tour guide group that's gonna help with the transportation and all the fun stuff.
Mm.
And when I went into planning it, they were saying that there is more now, people booking now for September than there was before pre-COVID. And the tour guides are shocked. They're like, what is going on? And what's going on is the call. People are
Yeah.
getting the call and they are answering it, which is phenomenal because there's people from all over the world and there's people who do different things, right? We don't all do the same things. So you
No.
may have people coming in, they don't even know why they're going, right? They're
Mm.
like, nope, I'm just going and I need to do this work. And then what they're coming back with particular codes and they're not even knowing that they are.
No, I was going to say, I think there's a lot of people that don't know they're doing the work. And yeah, because it feels, as you were talking, I feel all my lot kind of coming in and going, yes, it's like Avalon, oh, has
I know it
set a
just went whoosh.
beacon. Yeah. It's like there's a beacon. Like it's like the bat signal. I just got the Batman image. The bat signal's gone off. And people are hearing it, and people are going to it.
That's fantastic. And it's a fascinating thing because it's like, okay, it's not only me,
Mm,
right? It's not only you, it's a lot of us.
yeah,
And that tells me how important it is,
yeah,
right? It's one of those calls that's like every single boot on the ground that feels the desire to go needs to go
yeah,
because whatever it is that has to do with your particular coding. And I see codes very much as like keys that go into locks within our sacred geometry. And then it unlocks things. And everyone picks up differently, right? Like you and I, we have a lot of similarities in, what we're working with and how we work and things like that. But we may also be carrying completely different codes.
yeah,
That it's more of a compliment because why do we both need to be in Avalon then? Right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, there's similarities, but
But
we
you
are.
say it's that uniqueness. I think we've already established, like you carry the Mary Magdalene,
Yeah.
I carry the Yeshua line. So that's that
Oh, I just
union.
got goosebumps again.
Yeah.
Just,
In that, which is why both of us need to
yeah.
be there because we're creating that divine union
Yeah.
just by being there. And every but spirit work through all of us uniquely. That's why this isn't a one person job.
No.
This is a group, and obviously many are being called to
Yeah.
this because it's needed. It is that power of unity.
Yeah.
It isn't about one person now thinking, oh, I'm really special and I can
No.
go and do all the work. it isn't, because like you say, we all carry pieces of that puzzle. They all work with us uniquely, and we are all uniquely qualified
Yeah.
to do our part of this work.
Right. Right. And it's one of the things that really came in Egypt was that the gods and goddesses, if you will, they want their energy signatures, their knowledge walked on the earth now.
Mm, yeah,
And it is, I like how you said, talking about the Lion Kingdom, going back to that 0 point, right? It's back to that beginning place and back to that type of knowledge. Um, because there's been a lot of manipulation,
distortion.
distortion,
Mm,
and it's
yeah,
that coming back to that space. Um, and so there are those of us who are carrying those codes.
yeah.
And when we are willing to surrender and answer the call, those codes get turned on, and then we're able to bring in and walk with those energies.
Hmm.
It's not um as if it's totally in my body. I'm not changing who I am. I'm becoming more of who I am.
Yeah.
And it's that turning on of that really incredible ancient knowledge.
Mm.
One of the things about Sirius, and when we're talking about the Lion Kingdom, Sirius, there's libraries. And I don't know if you've ever been able to journey and get there, but it holds the histories, not only of Earth, but of a lot of the galaxies and a lot of the things that were done and why they were done and what the original purpose was. And so part of it is turning back on that information. Like our DNA has all that information in it. It's not that we're bringing in anything new. I don't know if that makes sense. It's that we're literally unlocking the door to it.
Yeah.
And then it has to unfold, it has to unwind, which is hard at times, right? Because
Yes.
because of the resistance, and it's like, no. So then they throw you in a death room. But I mean,
You will surrender.
will. Um, but it's a fascinating thing to me because the more this energy is walked on the earth, okay. Part of what is also being said is we want to think of it kind of like in spiritual terms, but they're literally saying there are those of us that are carrying schematics for
Oh,
different inventions, for things that will help heal this earth, heal the bodies. Um, they're literally inventions. And so, what it's very interesting. Mary Magdalene's here, um, which I haven't worked with her in a little bit, so that's exciting. Um, Part of it is okay, let's say I am carrying a particular code. I may not have schematics, but you might have schematics. I go get a code turned on. I then interact with you. This isn't that every human being needs to get to Avalon.
mhm.
It's those who are called
Yeah.
need to get to Avalon, right? And then they pick up the codes, and the person who has the schematics could be your child. Oh, I just
Mm.
got covered. I just like, and so it could be your child, it could be your grandchild. And you being with them, you turn
Yeah.
them on. You don't have to do anything other than just be willing to pick up the codes.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like, whew, The energy is really intense. Oh my gosh. I mean, because what she's showing me is like, one person can get the call and, maybe the person is in Minnesota, right? And so in Minnesota, they go to about their life, they go to work, they go here, they go there, and they are interacting and they are connecting with people. It's not going to turn everyone on because not
No,
everybody is going to have the lock in them that matches the key of the person in Minnesota, but it is going to get to the right person, which is why they're being called.
and you don't have to know whether you, because like who you're supposed to be interacting with, what codes you're taking, because some people think, oh, well, I can't do that work because I don't get information and stuff like that.
Right.
It isn't. It's about allowing your body to be used as a vessel.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Because honestly, we will talk ourselves out of anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a very good prime example of that. Um, and it's like you would make up valid excuses of why you can't. Of course I can't. Why? That doesn't make sense. But how do you know?
Mm,
Don't. I mean, so, we know my husband needs to get up the tour, but who's to say he's not going to get something and then he's a contractor. He's going to walk into Home Depot. He's going to walk into Lowe's. He's going to walk onto different job sites.
mm,
Who knows?
yeah.
We don't know our own potentials. Have you ever heard of she was a spiritual teacher named Karen Bishop?
No.
So back when I was in my process of, awakening and trying to figure out myself, and I really felt like I was going crazy. I just, I'd had that traumatic brain issue with the spinal fluid and everything. And so it was very easy for someone to say to me, you might have experienced brain damage. That's why you're hearing things. That's why. So it was very easy to buy into that. But then the pressure just got so much that I had no choice. Um, and one of my lifelines was a woman named Karen Bishop, and she was a blogger. I think her last blog was like 2015. And when she stopped blogging, she just kind of said, I think she went and started writing fiction books. And so recently she passed. And so I saw a notice on Facebook. And all of a sudden, as I read that, I was like, oh, and I saw her and it opened up and she was seeing her impact.
Wow.
And it was like it was worldwide. And she just sat there watching this and I looked at her and she had tears streaming down her face and it was just pure joy because she had no idea.
Mm,
And what it showed me, gosh, what it showed me was we don't know.
no.
We don't have any idea what it is we are completely doing.
No.
We get hints, right? It's like, okay, I can go and do a water ceremony. Like we did a beautiful one on the Red Sea.
Yeah.
But do we really know the person who got into the Red Sea and received those codes and how it changed
Mm,
their lives? We
no.
don't have any idea.
No.
But we go on faith and we go on trust.
I get I get that much information, and it's like that much of what's actually happening. You say we have
100%.
got no idea. One, the personal impact that we make on people, but on a planetary level, just by us going to a particular place or doing this and acting on trust and that guidance.
Yeah.
I get told that we get known a small bit,
Yeah.
and then it's just massive.
Yeah. And maybe maybe we don't fully understand it so that it doesn't get into our egos, right?
Yeah. I get
But
told I'd get in my own way
oh,
if we got told all the stuff.
like totally. I mean, and then like I said, you'll be thrown into death room. Um, I don't think I'll ever forget that. It's like, you just can't make this up. But I think that it's you get in your own way. But then I can also see the flip side of that to where people are not understanding. And so they get in their own way by not following those impulses,
Mm,
those leads, right? Yep, I've got to get here. Um, but I mean, the urgency is interesting to me because I cannot tell you why.
No, me neither. It's like I can't switch off Glastonbury, and it's like it's not until September. I've got all this other stuff that's going on before then, but I can't.
It's
The energy is,
it's here.
yeah.
It's here. And I'm really looking forward to it. I loved when I went in 2019, and there's so many beautiful places. I Glastonbury is just an amazing place.
Mm,
And but then we're going to be doing Nectarne's Glen. Have you ever been there?
no.
Oh my gosh, the fairies.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I plan on spending, I think we're going to do like 4 to 5 hours there, maybe go and like stop, grab picnic lunch so we can really just be in where the little river is and just really deeply, deeply connect. And that place has been calling a lot. And I think that there's something to do with the water there.
Wow.
Um, and there's a lot going on with the elemental kingdom as we are shifting a lot,
Mm,
and they are willing to make themselves known more and more, um, because they're wanting that connection with us.
yeah.
And Avebury, and you just recently went there for the first time, right?
Yeah, definitely. So powerful.
So
And with the
cool.
dragon energy.
I know, I know. I mean, it the dragon energy there, but it's very, very galactic.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, we went and I saw some people and they had like these like little hand drums and we're sitting around having a great time by one of the stones, and I'm looking at them like, you all are literally just wearing skin. Like they were not, there was nothing human about them. It was like they had decided to go on holiday and they were just going to wear like human skin and a human body. And we're all like looking at them laughing because it's just like, holy cow, you could really see it. You could see it through the energies of the stones, how it almost took away some of the illusion. And then you could
Wow.
see through it.
Oh my
So
God, amazing.
I know. I know. So there's so many amazing, beautiful sights that we'll
Mm,
experience in UK. The White Spring, I actually did a fertility rite for my daughter. In the White Spring, she had been trying to have a baby for I think about 4 or 5 years, and that one is now running around. She's 4. And when we got out of the White Spring, and so it was the most amazing thing. So she was in the water of the White Spring, and a whole group of people dressed in white came in and started toning the most angelic sounds while I was doing the fertility. And
mm.
and then I started seeing my mind, sometimes how I see things, but it was like these little babies on golden parachutes were just coming in and out. They were literally coming in like through her crown as if she had become like a vessel and then coming out through. And it wasn't like I thought, oh my God, she's going to have like a ton of kids. But it was, I knew what it said to me was it was the golden children are here. They're here and they are just amazing. And so we get out of the White Spring. She gets a phone call. And so she was living in Turkey at the time, and she wound up coming back to the United States with me. And she hadn't been feeling well prior to the UK trip. So she had just recently finished her degree. So I told her, you come to UK with me and we'll do the trip as like your celebration. And she hadn't been feeling well. And I said, you've been trying to get pregnant. Go get a test. And she went and had a blood test done. It was negative. And I kind of felt bad because I was like, I kind of got her hopes up a little bit, and it was just a big disappointment. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, but you're not using birth control. You're married, you're not using birth control. You want a baby. You don't feel good. It's a logical thing. And she's like, yeah, I just don't know that's gonna happen. And I'm like, well, it'll be all right. And so she had asked for this fertility rite in the White Spring. And so we had afterwards we had So let me give you a little bit of a timeline because hopefully I'm not confusing you. So about a week before we left for the UK, she had a blood pregnancy test that was negative. We do the fertility rite in the White Spring. About 4 days later, we fly back to America, and my husband picks us up and takes us to this favorite Mexican restaurant. And she's like, I can't. I can't. I'm nauseous. And he looks at her and goes, You're pregnant. She goes, No, I'm not. There's no way. And he goes, Nope, you are. And so she's looking at me. And so we go get a pregnancy test and it's positive. And we're like, Huh, that's interesting. Well, then she goes and gets blood tests and sonogram, and she was 10 weeks along. There's no way, there is no way that a blood test wouldn't have picked it up. Urine test wouldn't have picked it up because she had done all of that uh, and done full like thyroid panels. She had done everything right before she left. There's
Wow.
no way. And so I know that whatever took place in the White Spring, it flipped timelines.
Mm.
And that little one was born on January 11th at 11:11. I know. And she is a pistol. And so when my daughter was carrying her, she'd come to me and she's like, I'm the wind. I was like, okay. And she goes, I'm a breeze or a hurricane. I'm like, oh. And she is. She truly is. And so, for me, the UK holds some of the most, or Glastonbury, really, the most incredible magic.
Yeah.
Incredible magic. And that heart chakra, you feel it.
Mm.
You feel it. And it was on top of the tour. I was sitting on the grass and just really connecting to under the tour. Have you connected under there?
No.
If you get there, besides when we're going in September, but if you get there before, go under.
Mm.
There's stuff under there. And so I'm connecting deeply under, and all of a sudden Mary Magdalene comes up to me, and I had never worked with her before. And she looks at me and she goes, You've been on the hunt for the goddess. She goes, You just didn't think it would lead you to me. And I was like, You're right. Like I no idea, so very, very powerful place. Very powerful.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be going there with the group. It's just going to be amazing, and just see what's going to transpire
Mhm.
and what's going to come out from each of the places that we go to, because it's all interwoven together.
Yeah.
The journey that we're going, it's not just one kind of place. We're doing something with all of the places that we're visiting.
Yeah. Absolutely we are. Um and I think that because you had just experienced Egypt, you become family with those people that you travel with.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the groups are perfectly created.
Hmm.
Um, and there's lifelong friendships that have been created on
Yeah.
some of the sacred journeys. And I've had some that, we had some that traveled in Egypt that went to the UK in 2019,
Yeah.
and they same type of people. They're like, okay, let's go, let's keep going, let's keep working.
Hmm.
And they become, it's the tribe. And I
It
watch how
is.
they
Yeah.
support each other. Like, and it's been beautiful. It's been really beautiful.
Because the people in Egypt were just amazing. The group was so heart-centered,
Yeah.
so loving, so caring, so supportive. It was amazing being part of that group, and it was family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, because Egypt was pretty fast paced and intense energies. There was some significant heat on some of the days. And yet everyone was kind. Everyone was,
Mm.
and if someone got a little snippy, they'd own it, be like, I'm snarky right now, I'm hot, I'm uncomfortable, instead of laying blame on someone else. And you
Hmm.
really saw like the support. Everyone supported everyone.
Yeah.
And you just, that can also make it hard to sometimes go home after, right?
Mm.
Depending on the world that you're walking back into, because it's almost like you get to touch into that true 5D living,
Yes.
and you feel it, and it is amazing, and it shifts everything.
And it can feel very jarring going back to your
Yeah,
3D life.
yeah, it can. And it's meant to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've come back from some sacred journeys and my house didn't feel like my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I'm like, okay, things need to change in my home. They need to
Mm.
change to who I am now. I'm not changing back.
No. Like I
And
say,
they,
you're supposed to feel that uncomfortableness,
yeah,
because else you're not going to, say, change then your external will to be with who you are now.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hmm. Is there any last thoughts you have?
No, I think we've covered a lot. I'm just really excited about the different energies, because I say I can really feel the dragon energies coming in, as well as the goddess from the ancient Egypt energies. I mean, they're really kind of present.
Yeah.
But then I can feel the playfulness of that elemental Merlin.
Hmm.
He's always so playful coming in, and he's kind of really present. So it's going to be the whole mixture
It
of
is.
it. I feel it's going to be like a dance.
Hmm.
It's going to be joyous. That it's not kind of, even though it's going to be really powerful stuff, it's not going to be intense.
Right. But it reminds me of when they say, it can take you, I don't know, 60 times to, remember something, but 7 times if you do it while in play.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of play with this trip,
Mm.
a lot of imagination, which is
Yeah.
so valuable um, when it comes to working with spirit.
Mm.
I always
I
tell
just
people, like,
feel there's going to be that play, that laughter, that joy. It's that kind of energy, which I think is the excitement I can feel.
yeah, me too. And
Uh,
honestly, September can't get here fast enough. Like, don't get me wrong, I have so much to do and so many things planned between now and September. But I'm also, I get it. I'm like, yep, I cannot wait.
yeah.
Cannot, because it's really important. It's big. It's like a marker in the
Mm.
ascension process, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel we're going to, I'm just being told, we're going to look back on this year and going, oh my God, we
Yeah,
were a part of that.
I know. We were a part of it and we helped shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I and
Yeah.
I also think, like, I don't know why, maybe I'm weird, but I do think about life review a lot. Like, sometimes, like, something will happen between my husband and I, and we're dying of laughter. And I'm like, I can't wait to watch this again in a life review. Like, it's such a weird thought, right? But, you know, the thought of we'll get to go back and say, I answered.
Yeah.
I did it. I didn't let anything stop me. I bitched and moaned the whole way. I resisted the whole time.
I got put in that death room time and time again.
I did it. I did it. I'm telling you, it was like a timeout room. It was just, it was priceless. I was like, okay, I get the message. Okay, fine. I'll get on it. So, Kirstie, thank you so much for just talking this over with me today, and helping to share from a different perspective everything that's swirling and everything that's going on. Um, and I cannot wait to see you in person again and
I
travel
know.
with
It's
you
just going to be
again.
so exciting.
It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Um, so, all right. Thank you so
Yes, thank
much.
you. It's been
Um,
amazing having this chat.
and at the bottom of this video, I'm going to put Kirstie's website. If you want to reach out to her, you do one-on-one sessions, you do different groups, things like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And I'll put the link for the journey if you're feeling called, and how to get a hold of me as well. All right. Thank you so much.